Something inside you has been quietly brewing, an urgency that defies every doubter who said you couldn't make it. You sense an impossible breakthrough rushing toward you, faster, bigger, more astounding than you ever imagined. And though people laughed, though they counted you out, God has orchestrated a swift shift in your favor. Stick with me for at least 12 minutes because this revelation will show you exactly why your overnight success is no fluke. Right now, like this message, subscribe and comment 77 so that the universe knows you're ready. Then in your own words, leave a second comment, ready for what's next. Doing this launches a chain reaction, triggering immediate benefits and opening a new chapter of transformation in your life. Chapter 1. You endured their mockery and questioned your worth. You heard the whispers or saw the smirks from people who claimed you'd never rise above your challenges. Maybe it was a coworker who rolled their eyes when you spoke about your dreams, or even family members who dismissed your ambitions as naive. Each time you attempted something new, you caught those subtle cues of disapproval. It stung because part of you feared they might be right. After all, you tried in the past, scraped by with minimal success or outright failed, and they concluded you were chasing illusions. Chosen ones often face this uphill battle. The world sees your vision as too grand or unrealistic, failing to understand that God placed that urgency inside you for a reason. Yet every blow to your confidence left you wondering if you were the deluded one, dreaming beyond your capacity. You wavered between fierce conviction and quiet despair, especially on nights when the weight of their judgments felt heavier than your faith. You'd stare at the ceiling, eyes burning with unshed tears, asking God, "Did I misunderstand your plan for me?" But as those questions echoed, a flicker of hope kept reviving your spirit. You sensed that beyond every failure was a lesson shaping you. You recognized how adversity toughened your resolve, each setback polishing your character. While others viewed your missteps as final verdicts, you saw them as stepping stones, albeit painful ones. God let you walk through that fire for a purpose, to refine a brand of resilience that no mockery could diminish. Over time, you realized that your repeated attempts, no matter how clumsy or fruitless they seemed, were forging an endurance your detractors lacked. The moment of desperation came when you debated whether to completely give up. Maybe you considered settling for less, adopting a quieter life free from public stumbles. Yet your heart rebelled against that notion. Your spirit, though bruised, refused to lie dormant. Something, call it divine intuition, told you that just as quickly as failures mounted, success could arrive in a flash. You began to suspect that a radical shift might happen so abruptly it would silence every naysayer. Still, you didn't see immediate proof. All you had was an internal whisper that insisted, "Don't quit. You are closer than you realize." And here you are now, balanced on the precipice of a grand unveiling. You've done the unglamorous groundwork behind closed doors, hours of practice, endless research, soul-searching prayers. While cynics labeled your determination as stubborn denial, you quietly built a launch pad for the success that was promised. Their scorn fueled you to press on, almost as if each mocking word was a stepping stone God allowed, so you'd remain hungry. Little did they know, every attempt that failed was incrementally honing your craft. So do you see? You're not behind schedule or in a hopeless rut. You're actually on the verge of the most dramatic reversal these scoffers will ever witness. The humiliations, the second-guessing, the lonely nights, they've all led here, to this moment where God says, "Enough. My chosen child will ascend now, confounding every critic." The stage is set. All that's left is for you to trust that your readiness and God's timing are about to collide in an unstoppable burst of success. Chapter 2. You reach the brink, where God's intervention steps in. You stood at the edge of your endurance, feeling the burn of repeated disappointment. That brink, raw and unnerving, is precisely the pivot point where God often acts. Why? Because only when you surrender the illusion of controlling everything can divine power ignite in ways beyond your limited imagination. While others saw your exhaustion as a sign you'd never bounce back, they misunderstood the deeper dynamic, that your near depletion signaled a spiritual rescue mission about to launch on your behalf. Deep down, you yearn for a rescue, but not in a sense of helplessness. You yearn for confirmation that your convictions weren't foolish. Late at night, you'd flip through success stories or read about improbable victories, clinging to the possibility that your moment might mirror those sudden turnarounds. You noticed how the most powerful transformations in Scripture often occur when hope seems nearly extinct. Daniel in the lion's den, Joseph in prison. God's pattern is to let external conditions grow bleak so nobody else, can claim the credit when you finally rise. Then it dawned on you. Your obstacles aren't happenstance, but orchestrated layers of spiritual training. Over time, your eyes opened to the reality that each no or closed door forged your resourcefulness, honing your ability to spot openings others overlooked. Each humiliating day taught you humility, a trait that will keep you anchored once the big break hits. While your rivals sneered that you must be cursed, they missed the bigger picture. A chosen one's journey includes forging unshakable character that no earthly success can topple. As you inched closer to utter exhaustion, your prayers intensified. They shifted from polite request to a bold demand for clarity. God, if you really want me to keep going, I need a sign. Show me that you haven't forgotten. And that's typically when subtle rays of hope broke through. Maybe a small, unexpected win, like a random check in the mail or an encouraging message from someone you least expected, came to stoke the embers of your faith. You recognize these tidbits as God's hints. Though not the complete breakthrough, they kept you from collapsing into despair. Simultaneously, your external environment grew strangely calm or oddly chaotic. Either way, you sensed the reconfiguration of events beyond human explanation. Perhaps you faced bizarre timing, coincidences, or immediate cancellations that thwarted your short-term plans but freed you for something bigger. While your critics smugly believed another one of your attempts had fizzled, you discerned the rearranging of puzzle pieces in your favor. The meltdown of old structures felt more like the universe clearing debris so your blessings could land unobstructed. Suddenly, your vantage point changed. You no longer felt powerless, even though outwardly nothing had changed. Internally, you felt a pivot, a certainty that the next wave isn't just your imagination. The God who sees hidden tears also orchestrates improbable victory. Like a hush before a mighty storm, you sense the universe holding its breath, preparing for the grand reveal. This hush is your cue. You've done all you can in the natural. Now God steps in to catapult you to a success level that surpasses anything you attempted in your own strength. You realize the moment you dreaded as your breaking point is actually the stage for a miraculous leap into destiny. Chapter 3. You must embrace the sudden shift without fear. Overnight success often arrives with startling speed, yet ironically, it can spark fear in those who prayed for it. You spent months or years struggling, training, and longing. Then when the door finally opens wide, part of you hesitates. Is this real? Will I mess it up? Chosen ones, do not let fear sabotage the blessing you've wept for. To harness the power of a swift breakthrough, you must embrace it wholeheartedly, refusing to let old anxieties chain you to a smaller life. Consider how adrenaline surges when you finally see the finish line after a grueling race. You want to dash forward, but your body also screams, "Don't stumble." That mental push-pull can paralyze you, ironically risking a stumble due to overthinking. The same happens when a windfall or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity arises. You worry about success at the same time you create it. Yet the only way to handle abrupt ascension is to trust that the same God who made it possible will guide you through. He didn't bring you to an open door just to watch you flounder. Think about your life story so far. Each heartbreak and setback equipped you with the resilience to adapt quickly. If you'd soared earlier, you might have lacked the groundedness to sustain it. That's the silver lining behind your delays. You've grown from naive optimism to seasoned faith. So when the tide flips overnight, it's not luck, it's alignment. You're stepping into an upgrade your spirit is already prepared for. Even if your mind quakes with self-doubt, your soul whispers, "This is what we trained for." Practical steps can ease the transition. Mentally rehearse receiving good news so your nervous system doesn't freak out when it happens. Affirm daily, "I can handle sudden blessings gracefully, anchoring in your mind that you have the capacity to pivot and succeed. If new tasks or roles land in your lap, break them into manageable steps, just as you did with lesser tasks in your darkest days. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're using the same resilience, but at a higher tier. Also, weigh carefully whose advice you allow. People close to you might project their own insecurities or fear that your swift rise will distance you from them. They'll caution you to play it safe or not change too fast. While some counsel might be wise, let your inner discernment filter out voices rooted in jealousy or scarcity. A sudden shift can expose who's truly supportive and who's threatened by your evolution. Gravitate toward mentors who understand how to navigate rapid success without losing authenticity. Above all, remain humble yet confident. Let your humility keep you teachable. No matter how impressive the blessings, you still have room to grow. Yet don't let humility morph into imposter syndrome. God chose you for this next level, so walk in it boldly. The pivot from near failure to overnight success is a hallmark of divine orchestration. Your part is to let go of the notion that blessings must trickle in slowly. With your faith anchored, you can sprint through that open door, certain that the grace that delivered this opportunity is the same grace that will help you master it. Chapter 4. You're silencing critics and astonishing supporters alike. When a God-ordained breakthrough accelerates your life, both doubters and believers are left stunned. Cynics who once wrote you off now stare in silence, unable to grasp how you bypass conventional steps. Their eyes show shock, maybe grudging respect. Meanwhile, the ones who prayed for you rejoice, overjoyed that your persistence paid off beyond their hopes. Your sudden rise unsettles old dynamics, forcing everyone to see you in a new light. You may have imagined this moment, seeing naysayers eat their words, but the emotions prove more complex. Part of you wants to revel in their shock, yet a larger part empathizes with their confusion. While they mocked you, chosen ones seldom lust for revenge. Instead, you're focused on fully receiving what God has for you and offering your story as a wake-up call, not just an "I told you so." Meanwhile, those who supported you now shower you with genuine congratulations, having witnessed your hidden struggles. Let their honest celebration anchor you, cushioning any onset of new demands or jealousy that might arise. Yet be wary of those who swing from passive support to sudden opportunism, hoping to latch onto your success. Keep gracious but firm boundaries. Your soaring doesn't obligate you to carry latecomers looking for quick gain. As blessings flow, expect questions. How did you do it? What's your secret? People clamor for an overnight success formula, but you know it's the sum of heartbreak, near despair, unwavering faith, and a final dose of divine grace. You can share your lessons, but you can't hand them an instant recipe for the synergy that only your personal journey created. In this swirl of shock, admiration, and opportunism, you stay aligned with your divine purpose. Seeing jaws drop might bring a moment of satisfaction, but that's not the end game. Your real mission is to step fully into your calling, using your platform to spread hope. If God can raise you, He can raise anyone. Your unstoppable rise stands as a living parable of grace for those who once scoffed at your aspirations, and you remain steady, anchored in the truth that no applause or criticism can overshadow God's voice, which long ago proclaimed you were made for bigger dreams and silent defeats. Chapter 5. You must use your lead forward to serve and uplift others. When chosen ones experience a sudden, against all odds breakthrough, it's seldom just for personal gain. God elevates you in part so you can become a lighthouse for those still lost in confusion or pain. The difficult road you walked wasn't simply punishment, it was training, forging empathy so you'd relate to those who haven't yet found their way. With that empathy, your success can ignite transformation for others. Begin by asking, who stands to benefit from your newfound resources, knowledge, or platform? Perhaps a younger colleague has raw talent but no direction, much like you once felt overlooked. Offer your story, how you nearly failed yet experienced a miraculous turnaround, and watch their courage bloom. Or dedicate part of your increased income to a cause that aligns with your life's journey. The world is full of need, and even modest efforts can bring hope to someone else's desert. In doing so, you reinforce a key spiritual principle. Blessings grow when they're shared. The universe sees you as a worthy channel and keeps bestowing abundance. This cycle contrasts sharply with the mindset of those who hoard success. Chosen ones understand that the heart of God is generosity. You're blessed to bless others, so hold your achievements with open hands, ready to pour hope into dry places. Serving, however, doesn't mean leaving yourself vulnerable to exploitation. Remain discerning. Some people, under the guise of flattery, may aim to take advantage of your generosity for trivial gains. Stay prayerful and vigilant, ensuring each act of service aligns with your higher calling. Spiritual maturity involves being liberal with love, yet savvy against manipulation. Also recognize that your presence alone can be a beacon. You might not always offer large-scale philanthropy, but just showing up in despairing spaces can spark hope. Your last-minute success story proves God's timetable can upend human expectations. People sense the unwavering faith in your words and see the light in your eyes, reawakening their own dormant hope. Still, protect your emotional reserves. Exhausting yourself to rescue everyone isn't your mission. Even Jesus took time to rest and recharge. Help from a place of wholeness, ensuring you don't deplete your spiritual and mental well-being. Without balance, your forward momentum could collapse beneath never-ending demands. Ultimately, elevating others doesn't subtract from your success. It validates it. Each person you encourage or guide becomes part of a ripple effect of uplift. You shift from being a lone success to a beacon of collective betterment. In that synergy, your divine favor intensifies, not via a formula, but because a vessel serving others is abundantly refilled. Embrace the role wholeheartedly, letting your success stand as proof of what unfolds when faith, resilience, and God's grace intersect. Chapter 6. You're destined to maintain humility in the face of new opportunities. When favor pours in, it's easy to bask in the spotlight, especially if you spent years overshadowed by failure or indifference. A surge of pride may whisper, "At last, people see my worth." Yet chosen ones understand success can turn from a testimony of God's grace into a hotbed for inflated egos. By staying humble, you safeguard your spirit against the pitfalls that accompany new wealth, fame, or influence. A practical way to stay grounded is to remember your roots. Those dark nights when you nearly quit shaped you into someone of deep empathy and gratitude. Don't let the flash of attention erase who you were before your sudden rise. Journaling can help. Record the raw emotions you felt at your lowest. Revisit them occasionally for perspective so arrogance or entitlement don't take hold. Humility also involves openly giving credit to God for orchestrating your turnaround. People may call you lucky, but you know this blessing surpasses coincidence. It's the fruit of faith intersecting with divine timing. Yes, you labored countless hours in tears, but the sheer scale of your success bears God's signature. Sharing that truth reminds others that similar breakthroughs can happen for them too. Yet humility isn't false modesty or shrinking your own contributions. You can stand in your achievement with confidence, acknowledging your skill and sacrifice while still pointing to a greater spiritual reality behind it. There's no need to disclaim your role. Just remember you're part of a grander plan, not a lone superstar. This blend of boldness and humility speaks volumes, inviting people to see what God can do. Some will test your humility by provoking you, accusing you of changing or flaunting your success. Don't get pulled in. Let your consistent character and calm demeanor prove your transformation is genuine. If they continue, it's their issue, not yours. Your identity no longer hinges on their approval or criticism. You move from a deeper source now. Finally, humility calls you to keep learning. Rapid success might tempt you to think you've arrived, but chosen ones recognize every new blessing ushers in fresh lessons, bigger skills to master, and new hurdles to clear. Stay curious, remain teachable, and look to those who've navigated high-stakes terrain before you. This vigilance prevents stagnation, or the crash that befalls many who achieve success but succumb to complacency. In short, humility is your protective armor. Worn rightly, it shields against envy's arrows, grounds you amid public attention, and preserves your link to God, the ultimate source of your favor. With humility intact, no matter how high you ascend, you'll keep your gaze on the unfolding journey God still orchestrates ultimately, your story isn't about toppling others or collecting trophies. It's about lighting the way for anyone tempted to doubt that miracles are possible. Chapter 7. You are free to celebrate and expand into this new season. All your waiting, praying, and persistence have led to a dramatic turn you've long desired. You, chosen ones, are stepping into a season where success rushes in so fast that outsiders will deem it overnight, unaware of the hidden years you sowed in faith. Now is your time to celebrate, unashamed and overflowing with gratitude, recognizing God's handiwork in this swift, sweeping blessing. You overcame critics, mental battles, and spiritual warfare to arrive here. Each morning, marvel at how your life is transforming. That big project you only dreamed of can now launch. Collaborations you once yearned for come knocking. People who scrolled past you now seek your counsel. Possibility swirls around you. So rejoice wholeheartedly. After seasons of tears, it's right to embrace genuine excitement. Yet celebration is just the entry point for further expansion. The blessings now pouring in serve as groundwork for higher achievements. This success may propel you onto a larger platform, literal or metaphorical, requiring further refinement of your gifts. The universe doesn't grant major breakthroughs for you to stay the same. Each wave of favor invites deeper growth, broader influence, and even bolder goals. Remember your impact on others. Your elevation can free those who felt trapped. By sharing how heartbreak turned into victory, you pass along hope and tools for endurance. Chosen ones carry authority to dismantle limiting beliefs simply by living out relentless faith in God and backing it with consistent action. This might feel heavy, but it's a sacred duty. Your success becomes a beacon for those trudging through doubt. As momentum rises, preserve the daily habits that ground you. Even if new responsibilities and requests flood your schedule, keep prayer, meditation, or reflection front and center. Stay near the spiritual source that fueled your ascent, preventing you from burning out or losing clarity amid sudden prominence. Observers will note that you remain authentic, and that sincerity alone testifies to the truth of your transformation. In this elevated season, deepen your bond with the divine. God didn't lift you out of obscurity just to see you relapse into fear or flaunt blessings without purpose. Every tear and sleepless night had a reason. Embrace and maximize this moment, proving your readiness for greater expansion still ahead. As they call it overnight success, so be it. It only highlights the miraculous scale of your leap. Look around. Doors you never touched fling open, parts once cold to you soften, and your voice now matters in places you never imagined. None of this is random. It's the harvest of seeds planted in heartbreak, watered by tears and grown through unshakable faith. Now the world witnesses what God always knew. You were set apart for a time like this, destined to rise swiftly when others thought you were finished. Your new season calls, filled with the sweet vindication of unstoppable, heaven-sent success.